Good morning and welcome. I'm your host, Bob Pace, and this podcast is how to fight CPS and, keep your children. Now, we usually start this off with things you can do with this particular podcast. You can interact with it. And there are several ways that you could do that. First way, you can send a text message via the comment section. You can also put a thumbs up or send some love or something there with those little icons there. But anyway, when you texted a message, I appreciate you would state your name and your location, your city, state. Now, I've heard from everybody around the country, including outside the country. I've gotten Canada, I've gotten Australia, I've gotten United Kingdom, and I've gotten Ghana. And it's really interesting about CPS worldwide and also across the U.S. Now, CPS stands for Children Protection Services. It's a federal mandated agency that's purpose is to protect our children from neglect or abuse. Abuse can be in several ways, and so can neglect. But there are cases where children are neglected or abused, and we do need the CPS workers, the social workers. Now, this Child Protection Services may have different acronyms in every state, but all boils the same thing. It's a group of social workers that work with social services as a branch with Children Protection Services. They're entrusted to watch our children. And lastly, I cannot forget family reunification. That is a real important word because as families, you will have hiccups. Parents will make mistakes, but most of them can be all fixed. Some of them were just silly things that you did that you could have done something different. And this brings me to the number one rule here when you're dealing with CPS. If you can imagine open heart surgery, you need to deal with open heart surgery. Your heart needs to be replaced. Something critical. Well, that is applicable to children's services. They're just as hard and difficult as doing open heart surgery. What makes it even harder is they're not transparent, no accountability, and they lie. Whether you knew this or not, I found out the hard way that CPS takes the money, an exorbitant amount of money, and makes it illicit child trafficking. What I mean by that is CPS wants to trick your children and wants to take them and put them in foster care. They want them locked into their age 18, collecting their money per month, per year. You're going to find that hard to believe. I did. But as I talk around across the country, I get the same stories from everybody. CPS will make the allegation look like it's really extreme and your kids are really in danger, which means they can take the children away. And that's a horrible feeling. That's a horrible, horrible feeling. But what I want to lead you to know is that with the attorney, it makes your life a lot easier. It takes a lot of stress off you. plus experienced family law attorney that's fought CPS. There's one case that's against CPS, have gotten children returned, and even done a civil suit, several civil suits, and won, and got the money. So I'm talking about an attorney that we have in our law firm. The name of our law firm is Vincent W. Davis and Associates. We have many lawyers that do a lot of legal matters. The one that will be important to you is Children Protection Services. It could have other names, but it still does the same thing. It deals with the children. And I cannot impress upon how important you know this, and you need this attorney, because this attorney knows everything about CPS. He has definitely won kids back. He got my kids back. Yeah, I did lose a daughter, but I got my two sons back. And I think my daughter was like living in a Barbie world. She's a Barbie girl living in a Barbie world. Anyway, I miss her terribly, and it's not a day goes on. Well, you need a professional, like you need a doctor that open heart surgery. You need a family law attorney. You need the attorney that knows how to fight kids, knows how to fight CPS, or I should say how to save your kids, and isn't afraid to go against CPS. Vincent Davis is the man. He'll offer a 30-minute consultation, and it's really a small price. You end up paying $50, $49.99, and it's just for a 30-minute consultation, and you can learn a lot in 30 minutes. If you like him, what he has to say, then what I would do with you is get him retained, and so that you could save him like I saved my two boys. Now, he's available for a consultation of $49.99 for 30 minutes. All you need to do is call that number, 888-888-6582. Tell him that Bob Pace sent you, and then tell him that you want to make an appointment for a consultation with Mr. Davis for $49.99. They'll give you 30 minutes. And then he can talk to you on the phone. When you live in the area, you come and talk to him. But I cannot tell you how important it is to have an attorney. He'll know all kinds of things and how they help you. He knows how to keep your kids at home with you, and how to unsettle a mess that may be messed up. He's good at that. So when you do talk to him, tell him that Bob Pace sent you, so he knows that I reached out. Also, he'll go over the strategies of how to fight CPS and how to get your children back. He knows a lot of strategies that will help. He's a lawyer. He's a professional lawyer. He's been doing this for a long time, and he got my kids back. I strongly recommend him. So all you have to do is call in 888-888-6582. So that takes care of rule number one. You're going to get a professional, family law attorney who's going to be able to fight your case. Now, I hope that y'all, when I'm talking to the show, that some of you will want to call in. I did have a host set up, but they bailed the last minute. But I was hoping that one of you listening would like to talk on the show. I can put you live right now. All you do is call 626-69 80990. And that will put you in touch with me. I'll put you on speakerphone and we can talk about your case. Maybe your case can help others. Now, if you don't feel like talking right now, you can call in that same number for Vincent Davis. Call in 888-888-6582. Speak to the office staff and say that you want to schedule a time to see me. Now, I'm on 14 different shows, 7 days a week, twice a day. Once at 10 in the morning, another time at 7. So all you have to do is check your calendar and you can be on one of those shows. They start at 10, they end at 11, the morning shows. The evening shows start at 7, end at 8. And it's a whole hour. You can talk about your case and other people help you and I'll try to help you and so forth. But it's really a good program. Now, it's very, very important to get help, because without help, you're going to have a hard time with the case. The case you can find is very complex, very, very complex. So if you want to be on the show another time, you can call 888-888-6582 and ask them to schedule a particular time, maybe give you enough time to see things. But I'd say I want to be on the Wednesday show in the morning, or the Wednesday show at evening, or Tuesday morning, Wednesday evening. You can do all your shows there. As you say, you have 14 shows to pick from. The other thing, too, if you wanted to email the producer of the show, you can email her at Grace at VincentDavis at VincentWDavis.com. There's a little ticket right on the screen at the bottom of the screen that shows that. So it'd be well worth it to sit on that meeting too. Now, I want to tell you about rule number 2. Rule number 2 is to take notes. It's very important that you have the right notes because you need to refer to them later on. So you should buy yourself a notebook or have an iPad that has a spreadsheet, or you can use a Google spreadsheet where you need this stuff laid out. Microsoft Word will have your documents. Now, it's important that if you find something you already complete something, you need to put something in and lock it up so no one will take it away from you. Getting those little jobs or getting the things like that can be bad for you. So it's really important that you take good notes. The notes should be the time of the incident, the date of the incident, what the incident was about, the people that were involved, your children, social service, police, whatever, and then the outcome. So it's important to put the date and time, the people that are involved, what was the incident, and the outcome. If you don't know the outcome, it's going to be a couple months, and you leave the case open. But you have to know this. When you leave a case open, it collects money. So you don't want to make the coffers any bigger than they are for social services. I think it's great that they are protecting our children, but I think they've gone overboard and gone the wrong direction. So anyway, that's something you're going to have to decide yourself with that. Now, rule number 3, I've already told you rule 1 is get an attorney. Rule 2 is to take notes. Now, rule 3 is going to be that incident that may have happened. You want to list your people and put the red coats around it and so forth so we know how far away these people are. So I said rule number 2 is the notebook. It really become important to you. Now, rule number 3 is something you want to do rule number 3 is you don't want to talk to social workers. You want to say no to the social workers, and it's a yes-no affair. You want to be cordial to them, and you want to be courteous, but you don't want to give any dialogue with the social workers. And so when they come knocking, you just say, "Hi, how can I help you?" And they start asking you a lot of questions. You say, "No, that my attorney will get a hold of you." That you say you have an attorney will help them get you off your back. So you say you have an attorney, they'll get in touch with you. You don't let them in the house. That's a no too. If they come in the house, then they'll see things that'll hurt against you. So you want to make sure that your attorneys inspect your house first and make sure it's okay before you have CPS do a home visit or you can have the police enter in there. Now, police are sometimes used by social workers to intimidate you because they look powerful. They're going to be dressed in their fatigues and their big combat boots and so forth. So it isn't a pleasant experience. So they try to do that. Also, you don't allow not only them in the house and you don't answer or say questions, you don't let them take your children. The only exception to this is if they have a court order. If they have a warrant that says very explicitly that this warrant is made for the location, let's say it's your house, and it's made for John Smith, and it's going to say what the allegations are. It's going to be signed by a judge, and it's going to be that date of the incident. It's not going to be a date that's down the road. Especially a lot of times, judges can't sign it on the weekend. They don't work during the weekend. They only work on the weekdays. So you know that court orders, if they do try to produce them, you should look at it carefully and make sure the date is not some date in the past. So those are the 3 rules I want you all to go by. It's very, very, very hard, I know, to act humble around social workers because they've taken your children. They're really good at doing alienation, which is really a no-no. You should never alienate anybody from their children, and they do a good job of doing that. They also do a good job of sitting down, and that can be a really heartache to you when you deal with these social workers. Now, if they have the court order and you checked it out, then yes, they can come in and do the home. But you should really have gotten a hold of an attorney right away. That's the key. To get a hold of the attorney right away before social worker does anything. Now, the allegations are made by lay people and by professionals. All they are is phone calls. If it's a professional, be like a teacher, a doctor, a nurse, a counselor, anybody that is working around children professionally, that is a professional worker. Those are the ones that are required by law to report something if they see it, if they suspect it. So that professional calls it in, and then the social worker believes it's true. You are guilty till you're proven innocent. You're guilty till you're proven innocent. And so, with that being said, it's really hard, like most law, that you're innocent till you're proven guilty. You're innocent till you're proven guilty, but not in CPS. You're guilty till you prove that are you're guilty till you're proven you're innocent. Now, the other type of a call in is going to be from a layperson. It could be a family, a friend, a relative. In my case, it was our in-laws, my wife's family, that was doing all the name calling on us and getting us in trouble with the repeated calls. So, the repeat calls in my case went on for 5 years. From 2010, when I lost the job, to 2015, when they came and took the children. And there were silly things like saying we didn't have electricity on, we didn't have gas on. I showed the social services, the utility bills I paid, how up to date. Or we didn't take the kids to schools. I had their attendance records and their grades. They're all getting A's and B's on their grades. The only time they did have any trouble is when social services took them, when CPS took them in. And that was hard to swallow. That was really, really hard to swallow. Because they illegally took our children, like child trafficking, when they didn't have anything on us or anything. They thought, and my incident was really lame, and they didn't really see it till they came in and inspected the house. So all these other allegations were disproved, but when they came into the house, they saw it. And what it was, the contents of my house had my parents' belongings, their furniture stacked up, their boxes stacked, and so forth. And I had lost my job previously. I was going through what's called a perfect storm. The banks collapsed in 2007. I lost 50% of my retirement. They invested the retirement in some bonds, stuff that didn't work out. So that was hard on me. The next thing they did is I found I had a predator loan. That means a loan where the documents were altered and I should never qualified for the loan. And that was really, really bad. And I had to do that repeatedly, day after day, week after week, month after month for years. They talk about other things with two animals that we had. So after I lost half of retirement, had found a predatory loan, then I lost my job through no fault of my own. That job was lost because the state of California was going bankrupt and they needed to use the money that they had awarded me in contracts. And they wrote me IOUs. And I went to a bank after the regroup and say, could you help me out? Here's a credit line with IOU. And they laughed at me. And social workers weren't really anxious to help me. I found out the social workers were bad. They're not really respectful. They don't know what they're doing. They're not qualified. And they take so much out of you because this is in 2007 we moved out of the house. And that was hard. That was really hard. But on top of that, having all these storms happening, the worst one was my mom and dad was dying, and I had to do something about their belongings. I had to get them out from under there. By having too many belongings there, they said to me that they now when they came that terrible day, the social workers who had tried so hard to find something wrong with me, duped the police, the local police, who tricked me into following them and said they insisted I go in my home. Now, they didn't have a warrant, and I could have asked for one, but I didn't think about it. I didn't really know much about the warrant. That's something I learned from, from here, from CPS. But they make it really impossible. They really, really do. So I allowed them into my home, and when I got there, by the way, they had 5 firemen, 3 social workers, 2 case workers, and 3 local policemen with the uniforms on. So this policeman stops me, and I'm told to follow him home, which I do. I could have said no. I said, write me up a ticket or something, but he didn't. So he had me follow me home. And there was all these people outside. Of course, my wife was gone at the time, so she didn't have to see it. So they marched in with their combat boots, trampled everything, got the whole house dirty, and broke my rattan chair out of bamboo. Because they put on their weight on, they went to look out the window instead of leaning over it. So it was very destructive. The house was that dirty, and the only thing they could find was my parents' belongings. They said, well, we'll charge you with negligence. And that's what the CPS did. That's what they had done there. Meanwhile, um, okay. Um, at that time, they decided to take our children away because they said that they were in extreme danger of my parents' belongings. It's like they're implying that the chairs, the furniture could come and attack the kids, or the boxes could come and attack the kids. And so my other 2 kids were picked up to school. My youngest one with me because I'd picked them up from school as I do every day. And the police, of course, had followed me. And then that's when they tricked me and pulled me over and said I had to come to the house. So that day, all 3 kids were taken and they're put right into a shelter. Now, the shelter is a terrible place to be in. It really is. It's it's right next to a prison. The prisoner's exercise yard is right next to the children protection area, and so we visited that night, and then we saw where they're at. They weren't being protected. The shelter was next to a prison, and the prison yard where the inmates were could easily access the children by sticking their fingers to the fence. There was no protection of the children. There was beehives that could have stung the children. It was dirty, and there was no. It was overcrowded, and the food was awful. And so we tried to talk to them, told everything would be all right. Well, right away CPS does is they alienate you from the children. They alienate you so that you can't, um, so the children can't know what's going on, which I think is wrong. I think that's totally, totally, totally wrong. It's a horrible, horrible feeling too. Now, I'm halfway through the show again. I'd like to see if everybody'd like to call in. And yeah, thank you for saying your comment, Jessica. Um, a lot of times it hurts me inside my heart to talk about my family and how my family was broken apart, and unneedlessly too. It was really a sad state of affairs. And so if anybody would like to talk about their case, they can call it at 626-698-0990, and I can put you on the show with my phone. Now, if you don't want to talk, you can also schedule one of my other shows to talk on because I love to have guest speakers. You either call in at 888-888-6582, or you write my producer, Grace, at vincentwdavis.com. And that way you can get on the show, one of my 14 shows. I'm on every day of the week, and one of the shows is the morning or afternoon show. So that should work pretty good for you there. Now, just to remind you of the 3 rules. Rule 1 was get an attorney. We have one, Vincent Davis. Just call in 888-888-6582. He's a great family law attorney, and he'll help you win your case. He helped win mine. I just was late getting him aboard. He knows how to fight CPS. He's a trial attorney, and he has a lawsuit there. You see, the motion and strain of this, and maybe I can put this better ways. A lot of you are going through CPS, and you don't know why. And I was like Alice in Wonderland, running down a rabbit hole, not knowing where I'm at, what's going on. And at first, I fought them because they were doing things wrong. They were violating my constitutional rights, and I'd write the director, or I'd talk to a supervisor. Well, what was happening about talking to them or talking about rights there, they took it personally, and they really had a big thing in for me. So they made my case worse. They made it a lot harder for me. And so I'm telling you is that rule number 1, get an attorney. Call in 888-888-6582 and set up a consultation with Mr. Davis. It's $49.99, $50 for 30 minutes. And it'd be well worth the money you spend because there'll be strategies that he will help you with. How to fight CPS and what to say and not to say, and how to get your children back. But I know that some of you out there are hurting too. and I care about you. I know what it is to be homeless. I know what it is to live in my car. I mean, I lost my home, I lost my family, I lost everything. I'm still blessed today that my wife of 32 years is with me, and I still have two of my six children with me, two of my boys. Even that case has been over since 2017. All of us are still experiencing some trauma left over from social workers, left over what they put us through. It was really, really, really hard because when they investigate you, they assume it's all right, and then they're going to have you in dependency court to tell your plan and what you have to do to get your kids back. Now, after they do the investigation, they're going to, and if they take out your children right away, they have to have a safety plan meeting because they got to determine where the best place for your children. You want to put your children in family relatives, not put them with foster care, group homes, or a shelter. Too much damage can be done. So it's recommended that you put them in foster care, or if someone was over 18 years of age, you could have them kind of help you out. Um, but the best plan is to have your aunt, uncle, grandmother, or grandparent in there. Now, when you're doing the safety plan, you give them a list of relatives that your kids could stay with because that way they're not in the case is open. They are collecting money, but they're not at the foster care or the group level home, so they can um, be okay. Now, if you don't get an attorney, then you're going to be stuck with probably a public defender that's given to you at the last minute when you have your dependency court hearing. And having the dependency court uh, hearing is where they're going to give you evidence that you've done something wrong with your children and what your plan are to correct your actions. So try to mandate that family reunification should happen. That should happen no matter what. That should happen no matter what. Now, don't forget rule number 2, the notebook, or rule number 3, do not talk to a social or let them in your home. That also goes good for the police. Now, during that safety meeting, when you give a list and things, I need to tell you about something for the Indian Native children. If any of you out there are Native American Indians and you have your CPS case, then you can have the CPS contact your tribe or whatever your tribe is. If you're not registered, help you register because then you can get benefits from the tribe. The tribe can take care of your kids a lot better than CPS can. But um, what had happened a long time is that the Indian children were being abused and taken to foster care all the time and being adopted. Well, the Indians and the people said that's wrong. They should be with their families. There's been studies done that the best place for kids is with their families. Even if there has to be corrections made, they still should go with the families. That's the best loving you can give, loving parent you can give. Now, so in that ICA of 1970, the Indian Child Welfare Act, CPS must notify the tribe and either have you registered. If you're registered, have the tribe write them that you are. But it's a lot better to have them put in with tribe members like another tribal family, then you're not locked up needlessly in a group home or a shelter or foster care, because that's what you want to try to avoid. So it's really important that you as American children search out your roots. Anyway, that comes at the safety meeting. Now, after that, your next big world meeting is going to be the dependency court, an outcome, what you're being charged with, and then you're going to have to do some things with the program. There might be a class for 52 weeks, or there has to be a program you need to complete, or a substance abuse you need to be tested negative. Now, during that court proceeding, they're going to talk about a case. Now, my case, they didn't let me come into the court proceeding except to sign something, which is wrong. You should be at the start of the whole court proceeding all the way through. And they didn't afford me that. They did not afford me that at all. They also don't let you talk to your children. See, it'd be nice if you had weekly meetings where you and your children could talk about things and say, well, gee, mom and dad, what are you doing? And we're doing the programs and things like that. Then the parents could ask, what are you doing, kids? We're safe, we're eating food. There's no communication. And in a group home, they're taught how not to love and how not to care for each other. And not care for each other, I mean care for their parents. And it's really sad because our kids were drastically changed by them. And slowly we've changed them back now. I see different looks that each of the boys has, so hopefully it's for the better. Now, don't forget that rule number 2 about taking notes. You're going to need to see your notes all the time. And of course, rule number 3 is no to Home Depot or to a train. Um, with your notes there, you have your notebook, and then no to the social workers, no to the police. Don't allow them in, and they have to have a warrant. So those are the 3 notes that are really important there. Some other things that I think are important to look at is this thing here called the 388 motion. Let me pull that up. That's a real important issue because that is how you communicate with the courts. Is you file what's called a motion of 388 to I'm trying to find it here. Well, I did have it here. I just don't know. I'm looking for it right now. Okay. A 388 motion is important information about modifications of your juvenile court judgments and orders. So you're going to have your dependency meeting and you're going to have a plan. But as you work and complete your programs or you're drug tested for a year, you need to reintroduce to the court to tell the judge that you have new evidence. And what it is, you petition the court and they must have a hearing within 30 days. And what that does, it alerts the court that you want to make changes, you have new information to enter in. So don't forget the 388. That's real important in there. The ICWA of 1979 and then the 388. Now, Now, one thing I think is really important is you need to know about the Welfare and Institutional Code, Section 300B. It says a child comes under the Welfare and Institution Code, Section 300B, if the child suffered or there's substantial risk the child will suffer serious physical harm or illness as a result of the failure or inability of his or her parent or guardian to adequate supervise or protect the child. And so many cases I hear about, including my own, there wasn't severe and they were taken wrongly from us as parents. There's no reason why our kids should have gone to a shelter or gone to a family of a a oh boy, to a foster care family. There's no reason why they should be. They should be there. Um, so, with that being said, you have a long battle ahead of you, and so was mine. It really was really a hard decision on it, and I just found that they're lying almost all the time. They weren't very truthful about matters, and like one time, my son was pushed into a foster care for a short term, and they're against him how he took communion. Now, John usually likes to take communion from the priest into his mouth, and they said, no, he can do it by a layperson, and no big deal or something. They were trying to make fun of my son's religion, and that was wrong. That was wrong. No, it wasn't wrong to see our kids have their hands out to the side and not showing love for their parents. It's wrong for not to tell what's going on. And I never saw my daughter from the time she was taken from me. My wife saw the daughter off and on limited wise, but eventually that stopped. And all I know is that the more we did, it seemed like the worse we got, more into trouble, I guess. And um, that was that was definitely hard. That was hard. And the hardest thing to do is when you know you're right and they're wrong and you can't do anything. Your hands are tied behind your back, and it hurts so much. It hurts with so much compassion. You know, it's like you're crying out, why are they doing this to our children? You know, I was 60 when I lost my job. And 2015, I was 65 when they stole the children. I'm saying stole it. They they are the only ones to know they can steal children and guess go to bed with a smile on their face. I know our social worker is more interested in her Gucci purse or her fancy eyebrows or eyelashes, makeup, those kinds of things, because she wanted her bonus all the time. And we found out um, that she was getting a bonus, and that's why she buy all this stuff there. Um, Eventually, things will get out. If there's corruptness, they eventually get out. But you have to do something in there. So you cannot sue CPS unless your case is over. And if you sue them, you're going to be a big battle. And again, it's important you identify an attorney for that. Um, the other thing is I wanted to say is that no matter you got to be prepared. No matter what you do, it's going to be wrong, and it's like says things. So you just have to just grin and bear it, eat a lot of crow, and deal with it. I see Medina's here. Wow, Medina, you said the words right out of my mouth. You have been on here before. It becomes extremely exhausting mentally and emotionally and physical. And that's where sometimes I have these periods where I close my eyes and I just want to grit my teeth or I want to yell out because the damage has been done to my children, to my wife. We're not together as a family. That's what's sad about it. 5 years of the constant allegations, 3 years of heavy with the attorneys and stuff like that. Then the last 4 years, you have to be suffering everything yourself. I mean, it's really, really bad. Um, there's a lot that goes on that I don't miss them terribly. So, what I would like to do is tell you that my two boys were gotten back by Vincent W. Davis, the attorney. He's good at that. He got them back. What my daughter did, though, she was so brainwashed by social services that she went with the adopted parents, who someone told her how she could seal her birth certificate. Her birth certificate is sealed. No one can get it. No one can get a copy of it. It's like she erased us from memory. And she, has clothes where she did the same thing. Erased everything by Monday. Be be terrible. That's all I can say there. So as you work your way through the case, you're going to have to go and work with that attorney that you're going to have to get. If you don't have one, you got to make the public defender work for you. You're given a public defender. If you don't like him, you can replace him. If you don't like him, you can replace him. So I don't want you to give up. And I don't know what Jessica or Medina have, but I'd love to hear from you all with questions here. It helps me make of the time. Uh, it'll help you. It will help you. It's what you don't do. Don't forget. Don't give up. So you need to get the 388. You need to know about ICWA if you're Indian children, the Indian Child Welfare Act. You need to know 300B. That's really important too. And anything else you might be able to find. Um, so I want to thank you all for listening, and I want to thank you very much uh, for your input of any, and not to give up. Your family is really important to you. I know how much your family is. I'm really sad that I feel really hurt today with my daughter, but I heard from my wife. I heard from my two sons, and it was unnecessary for us to go through that. It really ripped us apart. And why they still want to have the tables, I don't know. But I really thank you for listening. Good luck with your case. And I hope the new year is much success and much happiness. And I again want to thank you. Do not give up on your children. Keep fighting. And I will see you the next time tonight at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. You have a really good morning and take care. Bye. Um, with that being said, I'm going to end this podcast. God bless y'all. And this is Bob Pace signing off.